What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be showing you some quick tips and tricks for the early game of Elden Ring to help you out in your, quest to be the dopest Elden Ring player there possibly could be. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Leave a rating, leave a comment below if I have missed any tips or tricks that you think might aid players in the early game here. Try to keep it spoiler free. And that being said, this video is only focusing on the early game in Limgrave and the surrounding areas. So, as you can see here, I am beating up some giants. These giants are out near the War Master's shack. You can go there, it's the north end of Limgrave. Go there, practice on these giants. They have a wide variety of moves, both fast and delayed sweeping attacks. It's great to practice the combat of the game to get used to the ebb and flow of how it goes. Next up, please use your pouches. These are amazing quick hotkeys for things like your horse, weapon grease, spell summons, whatever other consumables you want to throw on there. Personally, that is what I use it for. To access your hotkeys within the pouch, all you got to do is hold Y or triangle and press the direction on the D-pad that you've bound it to. So while exploring, you might come across some of these glowing skulls on the ground. All you gotta do is walk over them with Torrent, maybe roll into them or strike them with your weapon, and it will reveal an item. That is a golden rune, and those golden runes will grant you 200 runes on use. Next up, to use your offhand while mounted, all you gotta do is hold Y and press L1. Now that brings your offhand into your right hand so you can use it. Very good for sorcery builds and such. Now while on foot, you might want to two-hand either your main hand or offhand. To do so, all you gotta do is hold Y or triangle and press R1, or L1 to two-hand your offhand. You can even do it with a shield and run around two-handing a shield like a total badass. At the waypoint runes here, we have a sorcery vendor location. Now, when you get here, you'll see this big old plant monster. You just gotta ignore that. Hop around him, run down this cellar, and just ignore him for now. As you go down these stairs, you're gonna be greeted with a nice little boss fight in this chamber room. But as you get past that, defeat him and open up the door, you'll be greeted with this lady who will sell you the sorceries that you crave. Alright, so next up, don't be afraid to use your smithing materials. Don't be like me. Don't hoard onto materials in games until, you find that right weapon or whatever it is. You'll find a lot of smithing materials, so use them in the early game to help you get that boost in damage. It helps a lot. So that leads me into my next tip, mine locations. You can spot a mine on the map by this sort of black dot with a red circle. It almost looks like a little burn mark on the map. You can find these throughout the various areas in Elden Ring, and going there will get you a lot of smithing upgrades. Now, on the topic of the map, to unveil unexplored areas of the map, all you gotta do is search out, find these sort of obelisks out in the map, go to that location, and you will find a map fragment underneath an obelisk. The next tip here is about Ashes of War. Now this is an interesting one. So first off, use Ashes of War, but keep in mind it will replace whatever skill is currently on that weapon. So if you have a shield with parry and you put an Ash of War over top of that, it's removing parry. But it will not consume the Ash of War that you put onto it. So those can be used across all weapons. Also keep in mind, it changes the attribute scaling if you add the affinity to it. So here I add the blood affinity, it changes the attribute scaling. Alright, now vendors. You'll run into a lot of vendors out in the world, and a lot of them will have key items, such as the crafting kit, cookbooks, stone sword, keys, and cracked pots, to name a few. You'll want to pick these up as soon as you see them because they will help you exploring areas and expanding your crafting repertoire. Alright, now crafting is huge in Elden Ring. As you are exploring, you will come across various crafting materials. These materials can be used to craft items such as bombs, grease to add damage to your weapons, items to cure poison, and plenty of types of projectiles for bows and crossbows. Definitely give crafting a try during your playthrough. Alright, so this next one is a bit of an interesting one as well. As you're out exploring the world of Elden Ring, you might come across some of these statues that look like witches extending a finger. Now, if you go up to them and examine them, they will leave out this green spectral trail, which will lead you to a catacomb or dungeon. This trail is also visible on your map, not shown here as I've already examined this statue, so you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. Back at a site of lost grace, don't be afraid to allocate your flask charges. It can be really helpful to have multiple charges in your mana flask if you are a sorcery or faith-based build, so you can keep flinging those spells. So that leads me to my last and final point of this video. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is inevitable in this game. Death is inevitable and a core mechanic of this game and the Souls series. You have to fall before you can pick yourself back up. And if you have watched any of my videos in the past on this game or watched me stream Dark Souls, you'll know that I am a prime example of a beginner gamer when it comes to these games. I die constantly. With enough time and practice, these games are insanely rewarding, some of the most fun and rewarding experiences in gaming. Now, I hope any of these tips have been helpful to you even in the slightest amount in the early game and the early stages of Elden Ring. I wish you the best out in the world of Elden Ring, and I hope you are enjoying the game as much as I am, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.